welcome to another edition of the Blue and Gold Gridiron Show, where this week we're super excited to have the offensive coordinator at Bradshaw Mountain High School, Robert Ortiz, on the show. Coach has a ton of experience at various stops. He's been an offensive coordinator last year at ACP, was a 4A state finalist. This year at Bradshaw Mountain when they won the Grand Canyon Region Championship and entered the postseason as the 3 seed. Also been an offensive coordinator at Marcos Theniza. Was a region championship winning coach at Mingus Union for his 1 year there, and also has been at the college level at Mesa Community College, among other stops in his career here. So we're certainly really excited to have Coach on and learn from him. And this is our Coach's Cut Up Corner. So Coach is going to kind of walk us through a concept, show us the good, the bad, the ugly, from however that concept went during the season, and I believe it's some past stuff, which will be good for me. I always enjoy learning that part of the game from skill position coaches and those type of things as well. So before we get started, I want to take just a moment to remind everybody that the Blue and Gold Gridiron Show is brought to you by School Funder. School Funder, the only online fundraising company in America that lets you keep all of the money your team raises. You would never willingly give away 20% of your wins. So why do people give away 20% of their proceeds in fundraising? Call the guys at School Funder, that's SCHOOLFUNDR.org, and let them know the Blue and Gold Gridiron Show sent you, as it'll help the show. While you're helping the show, please like and subscribe. Viewership's done pretty well lately. Really hard to get people to hit that subscribe button. It's totally free. Costs you absolutely nothing. It just helps us reach more coaches. Only goal of the show is to reach more coaches and help the coaching community with information out there. We rely strictly on coaches and being wonderful people and volunteering their knowledge and expertise in an area. So we try to put that information out there. So just hit subscribe, please, and thank you. We would appreciate it. All right, Coach. Well, before we dive right into the topic, this is my favorite part of the show. Had a bunch of guys on, and I love hearing everybody's football story. So kind of walk us through your football journey, and we're excited to hear about it. So I'll turn it over to you.
I appreciate you having me on, Coach Collette. Been fortunate enough to be friends and foe, right, last 7 years. It's been pretty awesome. I appreciate our friendship. Football journey, originally born and raised in Cottonwood, Arizona, so I'm an Mingus alum. After high school, played junior college football at Scottsdale, so that's kind of how that venture started. Played a little bit of football out in South Dakota, and immediately after finishing the football journey playing, I jumped right into coaching. My wide receivers coach from Scottsdale ended up at Mesa, which is, our journeys always start with somebody that we knew, right? And so, he tried to set me up with a receiver's job at Red Mountain, and it didn't work out. And, I asked him, hey, what about helping you at Mesa? And he said, I'm okay with it, and our head coach at the time was Coach Ryan Felker, and he was our defensive coordinator and special teams guy that I played for at Scottsdale at the time. So, just as a former player of his as well, he said, hey, yeah, we'll bring you in, and so once I came in, that started the journey, right into coaching at like 22, 23 years old. And I was fortunate enough to be around some pretty good minds and meet some college level guys that we would clinic with, and Coach Adam Austin, who's at Tarleton State right now, tearing it up. I think they're in the college football playoff this weekend against North Dakota. So it's like getting to clinic with guys like that and their journeys and going through that path. After Mesa Community College, when they started talking about closing junior college football down in the state, that's when all of us as coaches started looking to get into the high school realm, and that's how I landed the head coaching job at Mingus. I was the head coach there for 2 years. It was short-lived, right, as an alumni guy, and my first year there, we did some pretty good things, and after the venture at Mingus, it was post-COVID going down with Coach Figueroa. I know you've had him on the show before. I've actually watched that episode. A good buddy of mine. He was our tight ends coach at Mesa. I was the receivers guy, so a lot of what we've done or what he does offensively, what I do, stemmed from our venture at Mesa. Spent 4 years there, and then I think a lot of people have asked about getting him back into the head coaching thing. I was getting ready. I was kind of willing and spinning your wheels on, do you do it? Do you not do it? And I ended up landing at ACP with a great group of coaches. To be 100% honest, that's probably, outside of the Mesa gig, that's probably been one of the most fun experiences. I think as a staff, we talk about staff continuity and becoming friends with guys like Coach Figueroa, Coach Felker, guys you talk to. Our DC at Mesa is Coach Jones. He's a DC at Bradshaw right now. So just being around guys like that who know other people, I think we became friends last year at ACP, where we all still talk. We have a coaches chat. We all still talk. We're trying to get together for a round of golf this weekend around the state championship games. It was a fun experience. I think we all landed in an environment that we needed to be in at the time, life's path, life's journey. And yeah, we were state runners up. We fell short against Micah Mountain. That's one heck of a football team, right? They're doing it again this year. So curious to see, between coaching against both those teams in 4A Arcadia and Micah Mountain the past few years. I'm curious to see how this one shakes out. So, land in there and like you, I have young kids. I have a 10-year-old daughter and a 3-year-old son, and my wife, post the ACP thing, kind of just was like, let's move home again. Let's take our son back home, and we own a house in Camp Verde down near the river on acreage. So it's one of those things where we just wanted to get our kids in that type of environment and let them be raised there. So the most logical thing to do was reach out to my former high school football coach, which is Coach Bob Young, who's here at Bradshaw Mountain. And I just said, hey, I'm going to be living 40 minutes away. I don't know if I'm ready to walk away from teaching and coaching yet. And he said, I'll bring you in. So, I think that's the relationship piece, to know people that are willing to take chances on you and bring you in and recognize that some of the things you've done are good things and you can help build the program and continue down a good path, So I'm fortunate enough to be here and talk football with you. We've done this numerous of times at clinics, just hanging out, so it's always been fun. But I think, being around passionate guys that just love the game, and this is what we do and who we are as people, that's all we can ask for, right?
Absolutely. And Coach always had explosive offenses and guys that have done good things, and always been very difficult to prepare for, because you guys do a lot of things well, a lot of shifts, a lot of motions, all sorts of different things. But excited to learn from you. So I'm going to turn it over to you, and I'll ask questions as we hop in there, and you can kind of just coach us up like you'd be coaching maybe the players. Maybe you're in a meeting trying to get it installed, or heading out on the field after. So I'll shut up and turn it over to you.
I'll go ahead and share my screen here. And as we do this, I think it's always important, I know you talk about explosive offenses and going through those things. I think it's always the first important thing to do, and I'm not telling anybody that anything they shouldn't already know, correct? I think the most important thing is assessing what you have in-house and identifying what your offense, what your players are capable of doing, what they can and can't do. I will say, you go back and talk about ACP. I think one of the reasons we were so explosive last year was we were 3 deep at running back. Any one of those guys did start for us at any time. And we were a legitimate 2 deep at wide receiver position, and we had guys with speed that could take the top off. So, the vertical pass game and being explosive downfield helped us open and loosen up the run game boxes. And then when you have the 3 different types of running backs and more of a scat back guy that can catch the ball out of the backfield and more of a ground and pound guy, our offense was pretty, versatile in terms of what we do. I think, coming to Bradshaw, we have very similar style athletes, not so much known for the speed, right? And we're trying to change that here as a football program, of recognizing that, like, our boys need to run track, right? They got to get in and develop a little more speed. So this year, identifying what we had a lot more possession receiver guys, not necessarily a lot of vertical take the top off kind of guys. So I know as a play caller, we're not, if we're going to take shots, we have to take them very selectively, and we're only going to get 1 or 2 opportunities a game. So it's an executional thing on our end. We can't just take shots to try and loosen up the run game box. As you know, we had one of the best running backs in all of 4A this year in Kylan Jackson, so everybody knew we were going to run the ball. I knew we were going to see a lot more man coverage than we should, because it's forcing our quarterback to make the throws. I think the most important assessment was on our quarterback, Michael Sanford, who was transitioning from 3 years in a wing T system to a spread offense where I'm asking him to do things at the college level, like knowing where everybody's supposed to line up, knowing we got the right play call, because that's something that he necessarily didn't have to do in a wing T system, but B, was assessing, from sideline to sideline the entire field. And so I believe that, like, knowing him, his assessment time would take a little bit longer, so we didn't have as long a time to call vertical plays, or play calls had to be a little shorter. And then a lot of it's, okay, we know we don't have speed down the field, so what intermediate throws, what are our windows, what are our options? So I'm going to jump into one of my favorite concepts. It's just a basic stick concept. So if you look, like Coach said, if I was coaching the players right now, we were walking into a meeting, I tried to break things up numerically by the old school route tree, like the 3 being an out route, because Huddle sorts things by numerical or alphabetical order, right? So when I'm coaching our kids, when we start in spring ball, as we go through summer, I'll pick one concept a day, 1 or 2 things a day that we do, and we'll run from there. I do have some old ACP films, so I'll kind of try and get into that too. But the stick concept itself is super, super versatile. And one of the reasons that I start with this concept right out the gate in terms of an install is because pretty much anything in the intermediate game to downfield, 15, 20 yards downfield throws are very similar reads. They're just deeper down the field. So if you were to look at our stick concept and then our comeback and our slice comeback concept, it's the same read, just deeper down the field. So I need to know right away, can our quarterback make that read? If he can't make a stick read, then we're going to have to stick to a lot more perimeter, quick game, and not so much 1 to 2 step read or 1 to 2 progression reads, if that makes sense. So as I jump in here, you're going to see this play. It's going to show that we've only ran it 15 times. I sort these by highest gain to lowest gain. When you look at the play calls, there's some tags here, right? So Cody, don't be screenshotting my stuff, because I know when we play week 10 next year. No, I'm just kidding. So the reason why I say it's super versatile, when we talk, I'm going to jump to where it goes. This is our stick out concept, right? So as I run this,
you can make it full screen there.
Yep. So when you talk about the names, what we try to do is tag things. So when we go full screen, I know it's blurry right from the jump, so I'll try to get a little bit past the blur. So this is an empty look. All right, so we have trips to the field, 2 receivers to the boundary. Now up here at the top, though, the stick concepts to the field. So this is just your old school vertical down the numbers. You're going to get the stick route inside shoulder of the nearest inside defender to me with the 3-yard arrow here, right? And based on the scenario, it's 3rd and 10, so we know if it's thrown underneath the sticks, we got to get vertical right away. Now the tag here is our out concept, which is just your old school vertical 5 yards speed out to the boundary. So this is the tag to it. And this is where I say, like, I need to know if our quarterback can make this read and make this throw here. Because if he can't, then I know this has to be some sort of just basic perimeter quick game instead that's going to get catch and throw. He's going to catch and throw the ball now and not force him to actually make a read. And so based on numbers and leverage here, right, if we were to cut a line right down the center and this is exactly how I coach the quarterback is, let's draw a line right down the center. Where do we see the most body? So if we were to count numbers, I have 3 pass game defenders in a will linebacker, a corner, and a boundary safety over 2, and we're 3 over 3 to the field. So numerically, right now, our quarterback should be going to the field, is where he should be going, right? Now, again, Kylan Jackson, one of the best 4A running backs in the state this year. He can also catch the ball, so he's our slot receiver to the boundary here. Quarterback decides in this 2-minute drill, we're going to the boundary. Even though we're 3 over 2, I'm not knocking the decision here to throw the out route, right? Because we're in a 2-minute scenario. This is catch and throw. All right, we pick up an easy 5. But if we look at the actual stick concept to the field, right, we're 3 over 3. Stick concept, stick route should be ran at the inside shoulder of number 9 there. And based on this look, our quarterback, had he made the proper throw numerically, right, he should have went to the stick concept, and it should have been thrown to our tight end here on the stick. And if you see this, technically this is almost man coverage based on what we're seeing. You're asking him to drive down from 12 yards deep to make that tackle one-on-one on a kid that's 6'2", right? So I can't complain about the decision because our quarterback caught through the ball, quick out. We pick up an easy 5 in a 2-minute scenario on a 1st and 10 look. But reading-wise, should have gone to the field. Now, one of the...
You went through your teaching process there, Coach. If he does work the fade with the speed out, I'm assuming he reads the corner like most people are in that scenario?
Yep, absolutely. So based on this look, right, he knows like, hey, we're in a 2-minute, we just got to get the ball, get out of bounds. I think that's one of those transition things when you talk about teaching and developing a quarterback, right? Like I know both your kids this year came up in your system, right? I know number 2 being a spread offense guy in the past. It's an easy transition when you're talking similar reads, just different verbiage. Like what we asked Michael to do this year was completely out of his wheelhouse. And so it was, like I said, I understand his thought process, but exactly like you said, we're looking at the corner. If the corner sits on that, I call it trap 2 coverage. Some people call it palms. Some people call it cover 4 read, right? I just call it trap 2. If that corner feathers and triggers on that out route, then we should have a live look at the go. But that's where I say if we go back to our pre-snap assessment to here, right, based on the amount of numbers we have, if this corner sits like a cover 2 look on this out down here, then this safety's in prime position to just drop underneath that go route, which is why numbers-wise, I would prefer our quarterback to go to the field side here in the 3v3 because we have an even advantage opposed a -1 advantage. Like they have us outnumbered here, if that makes sense. So yes, that is exactly the thought process behind this out-go concept here. And where I say things like this concept is super versatile, if I go back here to 2 clips before it, right here, okay, this is an empty look, or not an empty look, this is a trips look to the field. So now this is still our stick concept. Well, the stick concept you just saw was stick, arrow from number 2, arrow number 3, a go from number 1. Okay, that was our normal stick concept. Now we're adding a tag here where it's the way we formation is we're going to formation our tight end now as the number 1 receiver. So this is our other tight end here. He's more of our receiving body type guy. But we gave a wide tag here. So the wide tag now tells us that the stick route is going to come from wider than where it normally would come from. So our quarterback is still reading the same defender. Okay? The rules on the stick route is still inside shoulder of the nearest head up to inside defender to me. So our tight end's going to run his stick route inside shoulder of the nearest head up to inside defender to him, which is the corner. So his stick route's coming here. And then number 2, we always teach whoever's running the stick, the receiver inside of him is always running the arrow. So number 2 now has the arrow instead of number 3. And now where this concept changes, and this is how I teach it to the kids. What route did we run on our regular stick concept from the number 1 position? We ran a go route. Okay, what route puts us in the same area of space down here by the numbers? And who's the unaccounted for receiver right now? Right now it's the number 3 receiver. What route puts him in this area of space? Well, now this would be a corner route. So now we're going to run a 10-yard corner. His aiming point, and we give definitive rules. This goes back to our clinic days with guys at Tarleton and Mesa and all that jazz, is outside the 25-yard line, our aiming point's always the front pylon, and inside it's the back pylon, right? And that's how we coach it. So he should get to 10 and then hit the front pylon here. And we're just reading the same defender, and because his eyes are inside on the quarterback here, as the quarterback rolls, we should get movement out of the defense where he's gonna, roll and drop with, move with, drop over, and drop to the center, and now we're playing the 2-on-1 game here and here. Okay, so now it's just stick, but stick wide. So again, it's the verbiage that we're using to formation our kids in the right position. Our tight ends usually always run the stick route because I'm not trying to teach different receivers to run different routes as much as possible. We try to coach it as to one or two guys specifically, and then it's my responsibility to formation them appropriately. So if you were to look at our formation, right, it would be that last formation you saw out of empty would have been like a right hit, which is trips right, and our slot receivers inside. Well, now it's left hit late, so now we're putting our Y as the outside receiver here. So as we go through this, you'll see the number one receiver run this stick route, and he should get. So our receiver here runs a bubble instead of an arrow. But what does that do? That's the stick game guy that we're trying to read. He triggers on the bubble, and now here's our window right behind him. Now, I would prefer the ball to already be leaving our quarterback's hand. I know this is in slow-mo. You got a safety outside leverage over the corner, a corner dropping underneath it, and a backside safety rolling with us, right? So this ball should already be leaving his hand to not allow that Lobo defender to drop underneath this stick. Not bad timing, good throw. Ball's pretty good placed. Ball here should be placed on his outside shoulder to allow him to turn outside away from the rallying defender, and that allows us to pick up yards after catch, right? So this was, he turns inside because the ball's on his chest, natural receiver instinct, catch a ball, get upfield, but because it's the dead center of his chest, he's turning up into two rallying defenders. We all know Snowflake does an amazing job rallying to the ball. We luckily still pick up 10 yards on a 3rd and 10, so that's really close to a first down. But if I run that back, right, you can see this bubble, even though it's supposed to be an arrow. So our receiver, that tells me he forgot his job and he didn't know, right? That's the ugly side of it, okay? So even though it wasn't right, it's still okay. Ball's leaving our quarterback's hands, and you can see better ball placement allows him to turn outside. And we're making a shoestring tackle at the legs, but we're one-on-one with this defender driving down. We maybe pick up an extra yard or two. And then you'll see the same concept here. I can go into the pass protections. I know everybody coaches these differently, right? Ours is just a simple sprint out. So as soon as we get to here, our guys are just working shuffle, hinge to the outside shoulder, right? They're just trying to work a man over. So like our left guard's going to aim to the end and really work to just pin this D tackle inside. We're going to get help, double team the end. Don't let it get chased down from the backside. Super basic on that. Okay, this is game. So the clip we just saw was
what's the quarterback's drop on that?
So it's just a sprint out protection. Yep. If I can go back, and you'll see the same thing here on that next clip too.
That's interesting because I haven't seen a lot of people do that with the stick sprint out with it. So I kind of like that.
So, and here's my other philosophy, right? Like, okay, a lot of it, I'm going to always start with the sprint out on that one. And I will get to another clip you'll see. So you saw the drop back in that first clip that I showed you. That was the 2-minute empty look against Snowflake in game 3. This is a different form. Actually, I'm sorry, that first clip we saw was week 8 against Buckeye. This one is week 3 against Snowflake, right? So I vary it depending on, again, assessing our quarterback scenario. So Michael had a good arm, but not necessarily an elite arm. So, and we talk about not having speed and taking shots downfield. I'm not asking him to make a lot of whole shot throws from this right hash all the way to the left side numbers, right? And because that was something that I wasn't going to force in our offense, right? I like to sprint out to like this stick wide concept that we just watched here. I like to sprint out to it because if he drops back here,
it's a long throw.
That's a very long throw. And again, let's talk about who we're playing. We're playing a defense. They're in a 3-4 right here. This is their 2-minute prevent defense that they run, right? And in this scenario, They rally to the ball extremely well. There's a reason why their defense is one of the top in 4A consistently and annually. They do a great job rallying the ball. If I was to ask Michael to make this throw from a drop back position, if he was to drop straight back, this player, which is really the outside linebacker, I call these guys rovers. This is the overhang. This is really the inside linebacker. Really, this is really the right. He probably gets to that throw, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, see his body positioning, and he's already starting to trick. Like, if Michael is dropping back, even if that ball's leaving his hand from right here, right now, or have already left his hand, this defender's closing on that all day because they do a really good job. So I'm going to sprint him out to it to allow him to, okay, option 1, throw the stick. Option 2, throw the arrow. We know the corner was capped in this. We prepared for that all week in these scenarios. So option 3 for him is, hey, I got a running back getting picked up on the D end here, and he wants to fly to this stick route. I'm going to go foot in the ground and just get up the field and get what I can. If we're in this 2-minute scenario, things aren't going our way anyways. So that means we're going for it on 4th down, right? So I'm trying to give him another option, right? It's tough for quarterbacks to that drop back scenario to go, okay, that's a long throw. I don't like it. Let me try to make something happen when it's cloudy in the middle, if that makes sense. So I'm just trying to give our quarterback another option as far as the sprint out goes. If it's not there, foot in the ground, get downfield, we'll take 2 or 3 yards, right? We can live with that. I got to play for 4th and 8 and 7. I don't have one for 4th and 12, 4th and 15. So that's one of those things and scenarios that comes with the coaching piece. So on this sprint out, this is the end zone cut, right? So again, let's talk about the wide tag. We know it's a wider throw, so we're working shuffle, shuffle, hinge to his outside shoulder. Running back could do a much better job of getting here. I like these guys to make what I call an L, like the double basketball screen. So I want them to pin the end right here. So that way our quarterback has a true running lane here if we can get that. We should be shuffle, shuffle, hinge on the D end, pin him inside. We're going to shuffle, hinge, work to the D tackle, but we're responsible for the backside or a blitzing linebacker. Shuffle to the center and hinge, keep him backside because if this D tackle stays backside, he shouldn't be able to run down our quarterback. And then same thing here, shuffle, hinge, work to this D tackle, but then let's keep the end outside of us because if these two, they shouldn't be able to run that down. If those two run that down from the backside, they're either Division I football players or these two are not very good, which I've in many instances been on both sides of that spectrum, right? So where we look is his eyes are going to be on the mic as he shuffles and works to 67. So this should look like synchronized swimming. This is early in the year. I don't know if it will or not. So shuffle, shuffle, and then you can see how our center kind of punches at 67 with his eyes backside. He's looking for the blitzing backer or the slanting end. I would like to see our guard be a little more hinged, looking at his shoulder right here and forcing the end this way instead of giving him a two-way go and getting around it, right? Running back a little lazy here. He is kind of hopping around, kind of chilling. This is still early in the year. I'd like to see him up here and already clamping. That should be the L I'm talking about. So he's faced up with him, knowing, hey, my running back's going to come get me help. I think Kylan takes a little long to get up here and see how he's already worked a swim move, and outside our tackle's like, hey, man, where's my help right here? And then luckily, right, I know 27's a freshman, so he's got a bright, bright future, but luckily we get this ball off before any sort of penetration, right? And then you can see if we have that clamp here, had Michael had to pull it and keep it, we go foot in the ground, we should pick up an easy 4 or 5 yards before 2 and 4 can rally here. All right, so same concept. This is now the same thing. So this is our formation of getting our tight end, our Y out here. This is our Z receiver, and then this is our slot H receiver. Okay, so same game here. We're looking. I would like to see his pre-snap alignment. What I tell these receivers, because it's an in-running route or an in-breaking route, I would like to see his alignment either on or outside the numbers here. So this is game 2. So this is game 2 against Independence. If I go back a game to Snowflake, you can see this is the same kid, number 14. He's just inside the numbers / kind of in the middle. So his alignment in game 3 was better than game 2. right? So that was a learning from our mistake, right, from the week prior. So same thing, right? Stick wide. So we're going to get a stick at inside shoulder of the nearest head up to inside defender to me. So there's our 6-yard stick. Number 2's got the arrow, 3 yards. Number 3's got the corner. Now, here's what I would say is him being outside the hash and him not having a collision defender on number 3 on this 10-yard corner, that corner out of the break could be live based on what he does, right? So that's kind of the pre-snap decision. So if we were to throw a corner here, I'm not upset at it, even if we miss. So his eyes are now inside. So he's looking inside at number 3. And then I'll talk match coverage here in a second so you can kind of understand the thought process behind the wide tag and the regular tag. So right now, right, based on that leverage, when he runs that stick, that's the stick read I'm talking about. He kind of just hangs tight and feathers, and he's square to the line of scrimmage. He's sitting. Ball should be out. There it is. We throw. That's the stick arrow read I'm talking about. He sat underneath the stick. He's taught to slip behind him because that defender can't see him. So because he didn't see him and he sat underneath the stick unknowingly, this kid doesn't even know our tight end's sitting behind him. Quarterback throws the arrow, and now that's just to get your foot in the ground, get vertical, pick up what you can, and we force a corner to make a tackle. We pick up 9 yards on a 3-yard route, right? Can't complain, can't be mad. So if I could run this back one more time in slow-mo, you can see here, I think it's number 9. Number 9 never, this is one of the reasons why I like him to be wider. So when he when we run this in-breaking stick, his job is to go, okay, eyes are inside. He's looking eyes inside. I'm going to take a run read step. Okay, it's pass. Well, we know in this defense he's in charge of hook curl out of a cover 4 team to flat, right? So he never should see this stick route behind him ever, which is why I like him to be wider to allow him time to run, read, and bail. And then you can see how he never even sees, it's number 5. Number 5 never even sees, he's got his eyes on our quarterback the entire time. He never even sees 14. He unknowingly is covering up our stick route. And you can see right here, 14's going, okay, I know I have to slip inside of him. So he tries right there to get inside, but ball's already gone. I would say if we were watching at full speed, that's pretty good timing by our quarterback. And then, like I said, you can't beat 9 yards on a 3-yard route. Okay, and then this is back to that first clip we showed. So you're going to see those last 2 clips I showed were the sprint outs. This is our empty look drop back, so you can see the stick concept to the field, out concept to the boundary. So I'm giving our quarterback choices. There is no need for a sprint out here, if that makes sense. So I'm giving you when I tell our quarterbacks we can do this at any time. I try not to do it a lot, especially with somebody like Michael who was new first year into a spread offense entirely. I didn't want to put too much on his plate, so me giving him 2 choices as to what he can do with the ball was already a lot on his plate, if that makes sense. I'm not going to add any more. So this would be your old school. We see this all the time in the NFL, right? That stick route read, they can read inside, outside, right? They almost catch and throw, right? It's almost a catch and throw for them like we would on an hour bubble in high school. All right, so you can see he's just dropping back. It's a 5-man protection, clean pocket, right? The only thing I would like to see a little different here on this drop back is he's eyeing down the out right away. I can see that in his drop. His shoulder's open, right? Those are the old school DB drills. DBs are reading his shoulder sagged to his left. That's telling this linebacker, hey, he's throwing it this direction. He's throwing it this direction, right? So that's where I would like to see his drop a little more square, a little more downfield, a little more looking down the middle, but eyes out of the corner looking here. So that's part of his development piece, which was, again, this is week 8, so this is late in the year. That was a habit. It wasn't going to change much. I can't change something. So you can kind of see at the end zone cut, you watch his eyes right away. Right there, he's eyeing. Look at his shoulder. His shoulder's pointing to his left, but the defense is right. This backer's dropping. Everybody knows the direction in which he's going with this ball. So all I would like to see, I call it closed shoulder. I'd like to see his shoulder closed, chin tight to his shoulder, but his eyes, his helmet about where it is, peeking that direction. So closed shoulder, chin to shoulder, eyes peeking is how I try to coach that. All right, so now, sorry, one more time, Coach.
I said I like the chin to shoulder coaching point there. That made sense to me.
Well, and that's one of those things that's so simple, right? And as quarterbacks, like they don't, and we see it all the time. Depends on what level you're watching, right? I coming into the profession, into coaching college ball. I've always been a huge college football fan. A lot of it dictates and it's predicated on what you're asking them to do in that moment in time. Footwork changes depending on, are we adding a play action here or are we not, right? So I think one of those things is, how can we teach a quarterback to mask his drop and where he's trying to go with the football, right? And in turn, let's ask ourselves this question, right? I've never coached DBs. I played the position in high school very seldomly, and if you did, it's what drill did you do with your coaches? Your coaches are the quarterback, and when his shoulder opens or closes one direction, that's the way you're backpedaling and braking, right? So the way I try to coach the quarterbacks is, okay, if my shoulder's sagging to the left, which direction is the defense going to drop? They're going to drop to my left. Well, if my shoulder's closed right down the middle of the field and my chin is on my shoulder, what direction does the defense keep backpedaling or pass drop? They pass drop vertical. And so when you talk about out routes, in breaking routes, right? Dig routes or those kinds of things, or even just timing, throwing the ball as the receiver's entering his break. If a quarterback snaps his shoulder at the last second and that's when the DBs are taught to break, well, then what happens is okay, my shoulder's closed right down the middle, my chin's on my shoulder, but I know I'm throwing that comeback to the numbers on the left. As soon as I open my shoulder, they're going to drop that direction, but my receiver's already entering his break. The ball's already leaving my hand. They're reacting to me. They don't have time to get to the ball or to where the receiver is in that amount of time, if that makes sense. So I try to teach them, hey, shoulder square and vertical, defense drops square and vertical. If my shoulder sags or is all the way closed, like I'm throwing far to my right for a right-handed quarterback, then that's the direction they're going to drop, right? Because that's what we teach linebackers and DBs in all the drills that they work annually. So it's, how can we take their coaching points and use it against them, right? So on this one, so now you're seeing, okay, this is our base stick concept. So again, this is the same play call that we saw out of that empty look, okay? So now we're getting a stick concept, and I always tell the kids, when we call stick, we're calling it to the field, and that's just because we have it allows our quarterback more time to make the read, right? And if we catch the ball, I mean, there's a pretty big window here if we were to catch this stick, get upfield, and okay, he wants to sit on the stick, well, let's throw the arrow. Our running back's full speed here. He catches the ball, turns up the sideline. This corner bailed with this go route, right? So we should have time to catch that throw. And now you're asking this defender to, okay, run, read, pass drop, sit on a stick. Now I got to rally and chase an arrow from the field, right? I know that's a lot of lines. I apologize. You're asking him to run, read, pass drop, sit on a stick, and then rally and chase that arrow. That's a lot for this defender who's considered an overhang that might not be as fast as a corner or safety, right? So it's a lot to ask of him. So that's, again, trying to use the window against him or his ability against him, right? So this, you're going to see the go route from the field, from the numbers here. You'll see the stick route, aiming point, right? Coaching point there is inside shoulder, nearest head up to inside defender to me. That's this rover. That's what I call them, the overhangs. And then what's going to happen is I walk our running back down, because then to the defense, that could be a sprint out protection. And then from here, he's going to run that 3-yard arrow. And then just like that 2-minute drill we saw, we give the out concept to the boundary. So again, this is up to our quarterback. Am I throwing the go route or the 5-yard speed out to the boundary? So he has plenty of choices here. Do I go stick arrow to the field, or do I go vertical out to the boundary, right? Based on this alignment, right? Single high safety. So this could be a cover 1, cover 3 look, right? Again, if we were to draw a line right down the center of the field, I consider this to be a corner, a rover, and a will backer. So I consider this to be 3 over 2 receivers. So if I was teaching our quarterback this right now, we're 3 over 2. This is off the table because we're going to be 3 over 3. So here's the mic, rover, and then this is your corner, right? So we're going to be 3 on 3. We have an even advantage opposed to the -1 advantage down here, right? So as we let this go, same read to this field, right? I think Michael forgets to walk down our running back again, game 3, so early in the system. Running back still does his job, but that's a long way to go, right?
Yeah,
We
absolutely.
see the run read with the pass drop for the hook curl the flat out of the cover 3 look. Here comes the Mike chasing the running back, and that's another reason I like to walk him down. So two things. One, to the defense, it looks like a sprint out protection, like he's going to come try to block, right? Two is by him lining up here, you can see this linebacker is kind of tight here, but he's lined up directly behind this 2 tech right here, this D tackle. And so if our running back, if our quarterback moves Michael down and gets him out, even with this tackle here, our running back now has him out leveraged. And our running back should be faster than this guy, right? That's always the theory. Let's get speed and space, and let's get the mismatch. So as soon as Kylan goes, you can see Kylan has him out leveraged, but he's running from the backfield. We bang the stick route, right? Because there really was no read. So even though this is a completion for 5 yards, I would still even count this. I know I'm harsh on my guys. I'm going to count this as a negative play, one, because our quarter, he would get scored negative because he didn't do his job. I mean, it's 3rd and 5. We still pick up a first, so I can't be mad. But if I'm grading him out coming in on film on a Saturday, I'm going, hey, bud, you made a mistake here, right? We got to clean that up. So, again, good catch, good
Falls
throw.
to 25 in the flat, he might be gone. I mean,
Well, and
he's
and that's where we say, right, if we get him moved down, even with the tackle where he should be on his sprint out protection, we get him out there. You're right. Two might not ever see him. Like I said, I know two would do a great job rallying. They don't miss a lot of open field tackles, but I'll take Kylan all day in the open field with an overhang player, right? At worst, it's 5+, right? So again, it's a win-win for us in this scenario. You can see, again, protection-wise, this is just your drop-back protection. So this is very similar to what we saw in that 2-minute drill where we're giving our quarterback 2 options here. You can choose the vertical out to the boundary. You can choose the stick arrow to the field. The pre-snap read is always the go, but more times than not, like unless we played Coconino where this corner is up and pressed in your face, right? Like we know if he's off anything more than 3 yards, this is off. That go ball's off the table. Like we're taking off. Unless it's this is 3rd and 5. Unless it's 1st and 10, 2nd and 3 against a team like Coco, where they're going to play press man coverage up in your face. That's the only time that ball is live, right? That's the only time we're taking a shot like that. So on the end zone cut, right? Typical pass pro, just it's your quick game, right? So you can see. Like I said, I could tell based on that film, 4 was stacked right behind the D tackle. What should happen is our running back should move. He should get right here is where he should be. And he might bump out 1 step, but all we need is that 1/2 yard for him to run that arrow, and we have 4 out leveraged here, right? And again, speed and space. So one of the best running backs in 4A. He's one of the best linebackers in 4A. I'll be real about that. But speed and space, right? I'll take him in the open field with that guy all day. So that's the thought process behind it, right? So right here, you can see we have him out leveraged, and Kylan's running from 7 yards deep behind our quarterback. What would have happened if this rover sits on this stick route and Kylan's already out here, right? Like you said, he might be gone, right? And then what I will say about this ball, if you look on film, I mean, that's thrown on his inside shoulder, which is a very well-placed ball from our quarterback inside the hash on a drop-back scenario away from the defender. And again, teaching the receiver, catch the ball, ball's thrown on your inside shoulder, foot in the ground, turn inside, get upfield, get what you can. Again, 3 white jerseys around the ball. There's not much our kid can do there, right? That's where I give a lot of credit to their defense. Okay. So now you saw the 2x2 stick concept out of a drop back scenario with an out concept to the boundary. We saw the stick wide concept with the roll to it. Now you're going to see the 3x1 with a roll, but this is the same stick concept as we just watched, where it's going to be a go down the numbers. This corner is in press. So if we feel like we have the mismatch here, we can take this shot. Our quarterback has my permission to take this shot. 2 high safety look. If it was a single high, I'm more apt to, take the shot. If not, right, 2nd and 10, not okay with taking the shot here, right? Stick coming from the number 2 receiver here. This is our tight end, number 14. So again, inside shoulder of the nearest head up to inside defender. So he's going to step right at his inside shoulder. He's going to press and work vertical to 6 and sit that down. And then the defender inside always runs the arrow. So this is the same concept that we just watched, but we're adding a sprint out protection to it here. So shuffle, shuffle, hinge, that should be our L. We're going to work, everybody work to man over, right? A running back's going to work hand on end here with his eyes here in case this defender decides to blitz off the edge, right? Because if he blitzes, technically our tackle's supposed to work outside shoulder here, but we still end up 5-on-5. So again, 5-on-5, our quarterback's the 6th guy, we have the numbers advantage. So he moves down. That also something we do for Buck, sweep to the boundary. That's something we do for him running an arrow. That's something we do for him for speed option. So there's really no tendency that the defense can go, okay, here this comes, because we try to mask it in a number of ways, if that makes sense. You know, if you want to take away sprint out, we'll run counter backside. If you want to take away speed option, you know, we can sprint out pass protection, right? So there's a lot of different things that we do off of this. And so right there, you can see stick arrow should be thrown to the arrow. Corner's eyes are inside. We know safety's dropping. Now, the only coaching point, I actually remember this play very specifically because this is late in the year. This is game 9 for us, was explaining to our receiver here that if he goes outside, this is Coconino's cover 2 look. So when we teach go routes, we teach I call them go MORs, or just a more. And the more stands for must outside release. So in this scenario, this corner is lined up outside of our receiver. So our receiver gets lazy here and goes, okay, I'm going to take the free access and then try to get wide on my go. Well, that's what cover 2 is built for, right? They want to funnel it to the safety and let the safety drop over top to get the interception or take the quarterback's read away. If our receiver goes outside of this and gets his eyes turned away from the arrow, then we bang the arrow right now, we turn up, we get 3, 4, 5 yards. So I'll take the 5 yards quickly, right? Because he gets his eyes around, so that's the other point, right? It's hard to teach skill guys to not be selfish, right? The more is not necessarily for you in this instance. If you release outside and the corner wants to just shuffle with you and keep his eyes inside, well, then now that's where that whole shot throw comes. And our quarterback's doing it on a sprint out, so I trust that throw a little bit more than if he was doing it from strictly a drop back, right? There's no way I can tell you right now Michael's making that throw in this whole shot window to the numbers before that safety gets there dropping back. So coming here, right, there's your stick. Again, a little frustrated as a still a wide receivers coach, but former Devin. Teach them always rip, never swim. If you swim and get held as a receiver, the refs can't see it. So if you rip and they're holding you, you're ripping their arm up through, and they can now the hold is a little more visible, right? And credit to Coconino, they're very, very physical on the perimeter. So poor route, poor execution on his job, right? Quarterback takes a little long to make this decision. I would have liked to see the ball already out of his hand, right? And at this point, it's a little late because we're just catching and rallying. We only get the 3. I'll take the 3. We got plays for 3rd and 7, right? I'll take it. But if that receiver goes outside, we probably pick up 4 or 5. Or we took a shot downfield, which now forces them, hey, I can't be as aggressive to press on the next 2nd and 10 scenario, right? All right, so now this is one where we run – I think this was a game plan specific play. Now this is our playoff game, so this is late. This was more of a 3rd down play for us. It's 4th and forever. So this was almost a last-ditch effort. So when you talk about the ugly, right? So the stick is going to come here. We added a tight end for protection. So we add a tee out motion. The route is still stick. And then instead of an arrow, this is just a swing now, and then we still keep the go ball here, and then here is the go on the backside. So we were trying to isolate 24 here, and then by adding our tight end here, by just formationing it a little different, we give a stay call, and our tight end now becomes the 6th man as part of the 6th guy as part of the pass protection. So now you can see our tight end should pass pro with his hand inside, with his eyes either here to here, inside out. So he should catch this blitzing linebacker. And you can see sophomore tight end never sees him coming. Kid comes off the edge. We go stick swing. I have a 6-man protection and 4 guys blocking 1, so this is just not good pass pro. But we wanted to take the isolation shot on 24 with the max protection, so our Y should have been here. You can see outside of the blitzing backer, we would have been okay. I don't think this safety, well, actually that's 22, so he might get to that throw. But if you're even, you're leaving, we have a shot. Mike just can't get off a clean throw, right? And so you can see 22 out of his break takes a poor angle and has to retreat. So we should have had an opportunity at this ball down around between the numbers, and Mike's getting hit. Ball goes out of bounds, right? But we had an opportunity. So again, a little masked differently. It's still a stick concept. It just is attached with the bubble, right? And I know you played. Oh, there's a better look at this busted pass protection. It's going to actually upset me. So you should see, right? Pass pro should be here, here. Okay, these guys should be here. Hand on inside shoulder, eyes on the mic, right? And then retreat. So you can tell his helmet's looking out here, and then same thing. He should be here, hand up for the shoulder here, but eye should be looking this direction, and you can see I know this isn't a pass pro session, but you can just see 48's like, all right, I'm going to go help. And here he comes untouched. And I got 3 guys blocking 1 per our pass pro call, right? Should have had a tight end here. And if we get that, we actually have a clean pocket. 22's inside the hash, so we know that ball's thrown outside the numbers, right? Mike does a good job. Mike's the one who called this play going, hey, I'm going to look the safety off. So you can see he actually learned late in the year. Shoulder sag, defense should drop this direction, kind of one of these deals. I'm going to look him off. And then you can see how 22 freezes just long enough where if Mike can get his foot in the ground and cut that ball loose cleanly, we might have an opportunity for it down here. We just don't get the one-on-one, right? I think this is the one we already looked at earlier, unless it's I think this is a different clip, but same look. So again, empty stick out concept. That was kind of our go-to again. Quick game, get the ball out of our quarterback's hands. We know that, hey, if we throw this to the field, we know we got to hurry to the ball. Like this is 2nd and short, so kill it in a 2. This is also, I think this is the same 2-minute scenario. I actually believe this one was the clip we ran before the other one, right? Just a bad, not a great route and a little bit outside throw. So I think when we got to that other clip, you talk about coaching points on Michael. Tight end up here. You talk about good, bad, ugly again. Sophomore tight end, right? He runs the out route and not the stick route like he's supposed to. So, again, he thought, okay, it's our out concept call. That's what I'm running. And I had to ask him, hey, man, how many out routes do you run? And he said none. And so the out call wasn't for you. So one of those deals, right? Same 2-minute drill. So again, we were in the 2-minute drill against Buckeye here. Again, the way we saw, okay, we've taken stick out concept, right? So now we tag our double post concept here. Again, one of the best running backs in all of 4A. We know he can catch. So, okay, we've baited them into stick out. They're telling their safety to man this up, right? Safeties, man, they're going to try and blitz someone here. They're going man on one, and then they're going 3 over 3 to the field, going stick, arrow. They know this is coming. They've seen this 3 times on this 2-minute drive already, right? I've shown you 3 clips from the same drive. Now I'm going, okay, hey, look, middle of the field is wide open. So this is where we give a secondary call, and we call double post. So now we get our 6-1, 1. I think I'm on the sideline down here somewhere. Yeah, I'm yelling at these 2. I'm down here yelling at these 2. Widen out because I want the corner to widen. I want the safety to take one more wider step to give us that extra yard of space when he runs in on this double post. I'm making sure he knows what he's doing. You know what you got? And he gives me the thumbs up. Yep, we're good, coach. Okay. Quarterback knows, hey, I'm not looking at the stick at all. I'm going double post. You can see this is boundary man coverage, so we just give a different call. Shoulders pointed a little left. Where does this linebacker drop? He's trying to drop to the middle of the field, And right from there, we get the in break on the double post. And I know you can't see it. We just overshoot him a little. Maybe the end zone cuts a little better here. I think we're going to just miss him. So you can see quarterback shoulders probably a little left. He's looking right at the safety. He knows I'm throwing the right. We got everywhere to miss, all on the inside here. And our quarterback, again, we didn't take a lot of shots downfield, had a lot of accuracy, lack of accuracy issues. So you can see how Kylan's running this direction, has to backtrack. That's the hardest catch in football, to make that over the shoulder adjustment, right? Right here, he's got to go foot in the ground, and you can see he's got to do one of these. If we throw that ball in here and allow him to just run to it, he probably catches that and scores, right? But go back to down distance. Down was 2nd and 3, right? In a 2-minute drill, we're 2nd and short. Let's take a shot, see if we can catch them out of position. And then if not, we got plays for 3rd and 3, right? All right, so here's stick wide again, okay? This is a different formation. So this is the only time, I know I made a comment earlier, I only teach stick routes to 1 or 2 guys. I teach it to our tight ends and our outside receivers, so that sounds like a big group of guys, right? Here's why, depending on who you're playing and what they like to do. I know this is cut off, but what we did is we went trips far away from the tight end. So we have the tight end here with our 5 offensive linemen, and then we have trips to the field. So all we did, we knew when we formation this, we're playing Mingus here. When we did this, we knew they were going to try and blitz from the boundary because they were trying to catch us when we were running buck, sweep, or power to our tight end side. So we wanted to run something where we knew numbers-wise we have 1, 2, 3 guys over 3 guys. And then if you look at the box, our tight end helping on this pass pro here, we have a clean sprint out protection, right? So we end up with 2-on-1, 3-on-3, and our quarterback is coming out as the 4th guy. Our quarterback already has this Mike linebacker out leverage. So in the event he has to put foot in the ground and run, we got to go. Now where we screw up here is you can see, I don't know if we have the end zone view of this. Our right tackle doesn't get his full shuffle width. And this is what happens when your running back is not timid, but doesn't engage right away. He blitzes and bypasses our double team, and he forces our quarterback to now have to step up into the pocket, which at that point plays dead, right? So good, bad, ugly. Did we have the stick wide open? Yes, we did. We know Mingus likes to run the trap 2 coverage, right? And our stick route is sitting on 1st and 10 wide open, right? But we can't get the ball off because 2 guys do a poor job, right? But if our quarterback can get that off, that coverage that they're trying to get into, that concept's really built for that, right? So you can see, I know this play starts real late. You can see how our tackle, he's trying to get wide, and our running back's kind of just hanging out. And then our right guard doesn't work lateral enough here, right? So because he's engaged, we give it up, right? But we got guys open, so that's a little frustrating. So here's kind of that same look, right? This is Snowflake again. This is our backside tight end. Nope, this is early in the game. So this would be this. So this was to get them to see this specific play, even though it's 3rd and 6 here. It says 3rd and 12, 3rd and 6. 3rd and 6, this was a mid call for us. So again, a 6-yard curl, right, or 6-yard stick with an arrow. We should be able to pick up 3, 4, 5, 6 yards, right? We can go for it on 4th and 2, depending on what we're doing. We also wanted to see how would they adjust to having a tight end here. Does this end going to bump out? Is he going to stay head up? Is he going to stay inside of our tight end? Because we were such a trips heavy team to the field, what Snowflake, and I coached against Snowflake last year in the semifinals when I coached at ACP. I had never seen Snowflake on film. I call it when they travel the rover. So this is still their Mike linebackers, their 2 interior backers, their Mike and their Will. This is their field side overhang. They actually started taking their boundary overhang from here. That's him right here. And that allows them to be 3 over 3, and still be able to keep a six-man box and use the corner now as that forced outside run player. I
I
had
was saying it could set up your buck over there, making the
it,
corner the force player.
so that was one of the things. So that was the adjustment. We were so trips heavy at the beginning of this game. I mean, we're only at clip 21, so this tells me it was so early. When they did this, I was like, they have never done this, right? So credit to them for recognizing a tendency of ours and going, hey, this is what we're going to do to take it away. If you watch the whole game, if I was to go through and show you this whole one game, that was the chess game between us. I'm going, okay, if they're going to travel the rover, exactly what you just said. Here comes down blocks, here comes buck sweep, and we got a guard on a corner, guard on a backer, and you're asking this safety and him to fight through the trash to make that tackle. So we actually were able to capitalize on that later. So you can see again, sometimes, right? We're running a stick concept on third and mid to the field. They have us leveraged here. They really do. They have a safety to drop over top the corner. They have him to go here. They have him to drop under the stick and him to run with the arrow, right? Or have him rally to the arrow and him drop under the stick route. They have the numbers on this, right? So it's probably one of the reasons it's incomplete or we don't get it is probably indecision on our quarterback's end, right? So there it is. I know he's rolling left, so ball should be probably leaving his hand right now. But you can see this rover, which was the travel rover, he's sitting underneath it. This was the field side rover. He's got his eyes inside on this corner route, and our safety sitting over. They have us 4/3 right now, right? And so that was the adjustment. Okay, cut it loose, and we had an opportunity at it, right? 20, the inside field side rover, he kind of stops his travel. He kind of goes, okay, I'm going to start backpedaling. We had an opportunity on it. We just don't capitalize. That's on us, right? But you can see how, too, if his head's on a swivel, he's dropping underneath that stick route. That's the leverage that we're talking about that, again, credit to them for recognizing, hey, they're going to run a lot of trips, or they're going to do it. We're going to run a lot of travel. So you can see that's the rover right here. He's the boundary rover that's usually the force player out here. You can see if I start this clip, you can kind of see he's hanging out in the middle of the field to know, okay, where do I go? And then they go, okay, it's trips to the field, here I go. And now, like you said, Coach, exactly what you said, I'm standing down here as close as I can to this going, okay, what's this end doing? And as soon as we don't get this and come off the field, I'm asking my tight end, where is he? What did he do? And you can see the entire time, he hangs out inside. That's where we would get buck sweep, right? So eyes inside on this scraping backer, and then you get a down block, and then the guard coming around, and that's the force player we mean. We got a lot of grass out here, and that is a play that was able to keep us in the game. I will say that off the top of my head if we're talking game plan specific. Again, 2-minute drill. This was the 4th and 3. This is actually the play that ended up, well, not one play cost you a game, right? But we banged so many sticks and out concepts and hitches on them early in the game that you can see now they're in their prevent defense, right? This is the boundary rover now because we're in an empty look. So here's our stick route coming here. Here's our arrow. Here's our go. And then to the boundary we go, we tag our hitch concept instead of our out concept. So you guys saw a lot of vertical out. Well, against these guys, against a cover 3 look, we want to go more hitch. And then I call it a rip go where he rips off his outside shoulder, runs away from the safety, right? So you can see how they're kind of 3/3 in a shell look, like a man look, and he's the single. I call this a single high safety, even though he's back far enough as a safety. To me, this is just a linebacker because that's his drop window, if that makes sense. So I still treat this as a single high safety. So I tell our quarterback, hey, the rip goes live against any single high safety. And this ends up being a 4th and 3. Look, our quarterback, he thought we picked up the first down on the play before this, so that's on him for not knowing the situation, right? I'm a terrible coach for not shelling that out. And if you look, we go hitch, rip, go. Well, one, our slot receiver, who's our running back, doesn't run a lot of rip goes, doesn't rip off his outside shoulder. But Rover's sitting underneath it. Our quarterback goes, hey, Coach, I'm going to throw it away so we can live to see another down because I didn't like it. But if he would have banged that rip go on 4th and 3, right, that was the ball game right there. On 4th and 3, we lose just because one guy didn't know the scenario. So that was poor coaching in that scenario. It was poor execution on our part. And then you can see this was our backup slot receiver, the one you and I spoke about, who's supposed to run an arrow route and didn't, right? So he's supposed to be out here in the flat. I know he's open here at the sticks, 4th and 3, right, Coach? Don't be so critical. Take the play and live, but that's also a miscue on him for not running the stick arrow, right? The stick arrow to the field and giving us another option if we need it. So you can see how right now this Rover's leverage, he's already outside. If we just catch and throw this right now, you can see Khan's trying to get his eyes around here. I mean, he might take a shot from the free safety, but if he throws that early, like catch and throw, I mean, it was there, right? This film is early in the game, so I apologize. This was against Arcadia. Game 1, we had a camera that wanted to go night mode on us all the time, so I'm going to do my best. You're going to see the same concept you just saw on film against Snowflake. So you're going to see, it's hard to see, but this is our trips to the field. I know we're kind of in the middle of the field, so this is our Y, there's our H, here's our X receiver, this is our T, and then this is our Z receiver, and you're going to get stick to the field. So stick, inside shoulder, nearest head up to inside defender, arrow, and the go. And then you get the hitch concept, the one we just saw. So this is the hitch, and then this is the rip go. And when you talk about single high safety, predetermined where should we be going with the ball, it's 1st and 10. So right here we should be taking a shot into the end zone. Safety's dropping back, okay. Linebacker wants to widen. He knows, okay, I was going to take a shot. I should be banging the hitch right now. We go stick arrow, so the defender that we're running the sticks on sitting on the stick. So I think it looks like Michael's looking left here. I know it's incomplete, but it's kind of hard to see which direction he goes. He was looking to take a shot into the end zone, right? He was looking to take the shot. So as soon as this safety dropped back, he should have known rip go was off the table. What should he have done with the ball? Bang that. Again, game 1. Wing T quarterback transition to spread. A lot of good pressure. There's a reason why Arcadia is playing this week and the rest of us are sitting at home talking football, right? When they get pressure like that.
If he works the other side, he's got the other side too.
Yeah, and you can see he's looking. You can see his eyes right now. He's looking. He's staring the safety down. So he's looking to take a shot. And that's where, again, his coaching points, that was a lot. I know this was a lot on him game 1, right? He's playing against a state championship caliber team, right, in this game. That's who he's playing against. So a lot of things are new to him. That was one of them. I'm asking you to make a decision, make a pre-snap decision, make a read, and during that read, the safety drop back? You got to see that. Okay, shots off the table. It's 1st and 10. Throw the hitch. Let's get 6. It's 2nd and 4. We can take another shot into the end zone on 2nd and 4. Can't take a sack. Can't be in 2nd and 10, right? So he gets it off, like I said, and then there's a reason those guys are playing this weekend, right? So same look. This is that 2x2, okay? So we run. So again, now you're seeing this was a game plan specific thing, and I'll be honest, this was game 1 for us here at Bradshaw. This play specifically came from us when we played them when I was at ACP. When I coached at ACP last year in 2024, we played Arcadia twice in a 3-week span. We played them week 10 of last season, and then we played them in week 12 in the second round of the playoffs. So this was actually a 3rd and mid call for us. We knew in this scenario, Coach Young greenlit us that, hey, if you pick up 6, if you pick up half on 3rd, we're going for it on 4th down. So I called a 3rd and mid call going, hey, we can call 3rd and mid, we can call 3rd and mid plays on 3rd and long, 4th and short, 4th and mid, right? So this play specifically was game plan where it's the stick wide tag, so we know the stick is coming from the outside receivers here, right? So the aiming point, coach, and this is why I say I coach it to our outside receivers and our tight ends. And then the arrow tag is just to let both guys know that, hey, you're both running arrows. Now, this formation for us, as you know, this is a run-heavy formation, right? Or in this scenario in a 3rd and 10, this is an extra guy for a pass protection, like a max pro, right? So what should happen here is he should run stick off of the nearest inside shoulder, the nearest head up to inside defender, inside shoulder, nearest head up to defender. And when I was at ACP, we hit this play, I think 3 times against them, both out of a 2x2 and out of an empty look. So you can see our tight ends running an arrow. So again, that's why I say I like this concept so much, because if we were to throw this right now, who's open, right? And if he throws that ball, our receiver kind of takes too long to make a decision. Ball's already right here, and our quarterback's trying to throw it on his outside shoulder. He takes too long, and it's too wide for our receiver. It was way too outside. If he catches that, we're sitting 4th and 4. We can live with that, right? And then again, same thing, right? Let's talk about numbers' sake. If we draw a line down the center of the field, it's real tight down here. We're 3/2, to whereas we're still kind of 3/2 to the field. So numbers advantage, we're still kind of at a disadvantage, but there is a window right there that if that ball's leaving our quarterback's hand right now and it's thrown on his outside shoulder away from this defender, we have space and time to throw it. So this is a quick game throw that you can throw in. This was a game plan specific thing. Obviously, you can tell game one we never brought it back because we didn't execute on it against them in week one. And then as a coach, right, I reassessed, was it too much for our guys to handle too early? Did I feel like, do I feel like this is something we should carry? Am I trying to do too much, right? So I kind of scrapped this concept, after that year, but it is something that we could have ran. I go back and look at them like, yeah, we could have. So you look, if we draw that line right down the center, right, they have a rover and a wheel backer and then a corner over top of this. You can see as soon as he runs, 23 is kind of dropping, but if you look at our quarterback's eyes right out of his drop, again, game one, hard to break habits, quarterback's eyes right there, where does he go with his chin? So what is his drop? Run read, okay, I'm dropping this direction. Why? Shoulders sagged, I'm looking left the whole way, right? So you can see how long it takes him to get this up and get it moving. And he does hit the right window, but you can see how 23's there, right? 23's making that hit because our quarterback led him there right away with his eyes. This is you guys, man, week 10. So you can see, again, group Y, I think quarterback has to run this one. So you guys, again, numbers advantage. It looks very similar to kind of what Snowflake did. You guys have your 3-4 defense. Here's your rover, your 3-3 stack, your backers here. Here's your field side rover, your overhang as far as the pass game. I consider that the safety, the corner, and then the boundary safety, right? So stick wide, stick inside shoulder, right? Arrow to freeze the corner, and then the corner route. Based on your guys' alignment, I'm going to say the corner route is live and should be live here, especially on like a 1st and 10.
Definitely.
Right? Because I don't think if he runs 10 and gets to front pylon, even I know you got some good athletes down across town, man, but this guy, it's a long way for him to, pass read. Even if our quarterback leads him in his drop, I got to get all the way to the numbers. That's very hard. If that kid does it, shoot, he deserves to play at the next level, correct? So that's where I'd say, okay, this is where I say our right tackle doesn't. You can see kind of pass sets. He doesn't work. I think this guy, can't remember, we had a right tackle. You see shuffle, he works next man over. That's the blitzing linebacker we're talking about. Our running back's got to pick up. Our tackle still needed to work to here, and you can see his eyes are back inside thinking, okay, running back's got this. We should be double teaming this, and our quarterback should be able to get outside and around this on the sprint out. And if he does, right, again, based on this, right, if he was able to get outside of this, I think that's 23. I believe 23 carries, right? That ball can be thrown here. We get a good 6, right, on first down. If we look at the end zone cut of this, I think is that your boy 56? That kid's a beast, man.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, no, he is for sure. So again, right, and this is, 3, this is where it confuses our tackle. He's so used to blocking those tight 5s in a 4-man front, he doesn't realize, hey, I'm supposed to work to here. Running back should get here, and we should have him clamped in, right? And then what's his rule on this sprint out? Shuffle and work to the next man over. Shuffle, and then engage. If there's nothing there, then I hinge and look for something, either the blitzing backer or something slanting from the backside. Technically, our center should be working to this backer, but flat down the line, and then looking to pick up your nose, right? Backside guard, working to nose, either engaging and picking him up or looking for a backside blitzing backer, backside tackle, working to this backer. So again, just simple numbers sake, that's how I coach it. Next man over. Who is the next man over? When you shuffle, who's the next man over? Okay, tackle, I'm working to him. He doesn't blitz, I engage here. I'm working to the end. Okay, tackle picks him up. I'm looking for blitzing backer or backside slant, right? Okay, so that should be very, very simple. And we practice that, right? When we played against you guys, we line up a box that looks like this, and we will practice even mock blitzes, even if you guys don't show it. We try to give our O-line that look. So you can see, right, when he walks down by week 10, man, we know this is a tendency. It's either speed option, buck sweep, right, counter coming backside. 50, he walks down, we know this is an alert. He should be yelling alert to our tackle. I don't think he does. So you can see his eyes go outside, so our right tackle. 50's making the right work. And then I would like to see our right tackle get his right foot in the ground and then spin him, right? The push-pull technique. Get him turned. So see how he's allowing, he's giving him a two-way go. I would have liked to see him work and spin him and force him this direction, which then allows us, okay, 56, we saw him on film. He blows this up right here. Quarterback can foot in the ground, step up, because this guy went inside. He's got a running lane, or, hey, I got an opportunity to throw the ball away or get some because I'm outside the pocket now, right? And you can see 77 just hangs our running back out to dry. And as good as our running back was, he ain't no match for 56, right? You and I know that, and that's dead in the water, right? So, and I'll say even your end, your true end, did a good job of fighting outside, right? So poor technique, poor execution on our right guard, right tackle, right? And then we saw this same thing, right? Backside tight end, okay? And I think this one, it says it's complete. We might have seen this one. Yep. So we throw the corner out here, and you can see our quarterback. I think it says complete. That's false. This was incomplete. Should have been picked, honestly. So this is week 2. I think this was at the end. This was in the middle of a 2-minute drive, again, right before halftime. We ended up scoring on this drive, but based on this, you can see the safety. So this is where I say the corner's live, because if you look at the corner's eyes, I called this play on the play before. I believe it's supposed to be 2nd and 4 or 2nd and 3 here. So you can see the chains weren't even set. We called the same play, and I actually told our quarterback, peep your corner, because if you look at his eyes, he's looking this direction solely. He never even sees this corner. And then again, same thing you and I just talked about it based on your guys' pre-snap alignment. This safety, he's on the hash. That's a long way for him to cover going to that pylon from the boundary backside, right? And then we're just bringing the tight end as an extra protector just in case on the backside, give our quarterback time. He's out of his break. If a quarterback was going to throw this ball, he should have already had his hips flipped around. Right, takes him a little long, and then now he's drifting left, never gets his hips flipped, kind of throws up a duck and a feeder. So you can see we had him beat. That ball should have been overthrown, right? And should have been picked. It's ended up incomplete. So again, poor technique. That's game 2, right? Wing T quarterback trying to get him into a scenario. And then, yep, I think this was the very first one we talked about. So we're back to the top there, man, and that's it. So you saw, a 2x2 stick concept with a hitch out concept to the boundary side, whether we're running it with our running back as a stick route from the backfield, or we're running it out of a trips look and rolling and sprint out to it, or we're running it from the wide. This one is great. The wide call I love for match coverage teams, right? Because everybody wants to read number 2. Right, so when number 2 comes out, what's that match corner taught to do? Boom, I get my read. I'm triggering on this out, so who's open here? Right? And then that's why he's got to sneak behind this, so when that sprint out's happening and he flows this way, there's a window behind him. Okay, safety's read number 2. 2 goes out, right? I know I have to go over top the numbers against a match coverage team. What's open from number 3 now? Should be the corner route, right? That regular stick that we saw, I believe, against the regular 3x1 sprint out stick, like this one, is great down inside, like your 3rd and shorts, your goal lines against match man coverage teams, cover 3 man coverage teams. So this is that variation of it, where I think when we talk about growth and evolution of offense, right, I hadn't start calling the stick wide concept until you saw a lot more teams switch to a match 2 coverage, right? As soon as everybody wanted to do that, everyone started throwing stick routes from the field. Again, you got to use the defense's coaching points against them. If they want to drive down on an out route under 7 yards from the corner position, well, I'm going to give you a stick route from number 1 then, and I'm going to give you the out route, right? So it's just, I say it's a concept manipulation based on what the defense is going to give you and using their rules against them, right? So again, Coconino's a big man coverage team, usually is cover 1 team. They want to run cover 2, and there's long passing scenarios, so second and 10.
Almost exclusively cover 1.
Exactly, right? So I knew, right, going in, you look at our call, it's just our base 3-by-1. If they and that's where you get the picks, right? They want to run, this backside safety would have been what I would call their boundary rover. He would have been the man coverage guy in here. So you almost get a built-in pick where he's got to fight through that trash on that stick route, right? I know I'm talking specifically cover 1. So I think when you talk stick from the trips receivers, or even out of that 2-by-2 from the guy out of the backfield, right? That's your cover 1, cover 3 beater. When you're running your stick wide, that's your cover 4 match 2 beater, right? I liked, in reality, just my philosophy, you saw a lot of empty. You heard me talk a lot about a 2-minute drill. A lot of that is a 2-minute drill. I'm trying to give the quarterback options, quick game options, quick throwing options where, okay, if you hit the out or you hit the hitch to the boundary, we're out of bounds, save some clock. Oh, we hit the stick or the arrow to the field, we got to sprint our butt up to get to the ball, kill the clock, and move on. You know what I mean? And next play, right? Next play mentality and the 2-minute urgency. But stick to me is one. You saw the run heavy formation, the stick wide, the double stick wide arrow concept. You saw that out of a run heavy formation again. I called it in a 3rd and 10 scenario. Usually that manipulation of the concept is great on like a 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3 scenario. Why? Because that's a run heavy formation. And then I'm giving your defense, okay, it's 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3. I know on film, we were 70% run to 30% pass. This year was our tendency. So I know your defense is thinking, hey, they're running the ball here. And boom, we line up and hit you with double stick arrows from the wide routes, right? We know there's a window going to be there, especially against a team like Coconino, if they might be in that man coverage look, right? Or playing the run or something. And then again, concept manipulation. You see it a lot on Saturdays. That run heavy formation, that play came from Utah State. It was a play that we had clinic 2 seasons ago with them up in Reno, or not Utah State. I'm sorry, the University of Nevada. We can clinic with those guys up in Reno as part of our staff at ACP, and that was the philosophy behind it, right? It's a run heavy formation for a 3rd and short or an opener, right? It's 1st and 10. Your tendency is to run the ball. Let's break that tendency a little bit instead of hitting them with an RPO. But the concept manipulation is just adding a play action fake in there. So now your quarterback's footwork's going to change, right? He might hit you with the sidestep hinge for a run action, and then it's an RPO throw for him instead of an actual quick 3-step drop. Or depending on how people coach their footwork, I know everybody coaches it differently, right? I'm real big on the catch the ball, 1, 2, 3, ball out, 1, 2, 3, ball out, right? Your longer developing routes, you talk about your curl, your comeback concepts. Teaching, 5 slide and throw, 5 slide and throw. Ball's got to be out. Your decision has to be made. And so again, a way to manipulate this concept was that flash fake like an RPO, even though our quarterback knows, hey, I'm throwing it, he's got to make the decision. Am I throwing it to the right? Am I throwing it to the left? Okay, I'm throwing it this way. I'm going to tell my running back, hey, we're play faking here. And then I'm just setting my feet and throwing it like I would a now or a bubble screen. You know what I mean? So there's things that you can do. There's things that you can do in terms of concept manipulation that, I knew, that's something now I'm kind of upset at myself by week 10, 11, right? I'm not throwing in flash flakes when we're a 70% run team, right? Or first down, we're 90% run on first down, right? Because our quarterback won't throw the dang bubble against Prescott when it's open 8 plays in a row. How can we find ways to break tendencies? And I think sometimes it's the paralysis by analysis, right? Don't overthink it. If your kids are good at it, I force my kids to be good, and the quarterbacks I've always worked with, right? I force them to be good at stick throws or the stick concept, because if they can make the stick read, they can make any other pass game read ever after that. To me, that is one of those ones, I believe we as coaches could do a better job teaching kids the stick throw is in 7th and 8th grade, right? Because that's only going to help their development personally or individually as a quarterback when they get to high school, right? If they can make the stick read if they can make that read in 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, they're going to be just fine when you start running shallows and mesh and whatever else the heck people want to run as far as their concepts, right? I know you're big on the deep crossers. In reality, that's the same read. It's just 20, 25 yards downfield. Quarterback's got to be able to make that read, right? And I think
that's a real interesting way to put it. I hadn't really thought of it that way, but that's a really good point. And, Coach, I love the versatility you showed within the concept there. And I really, really like when you guys got nub trips there and you got your best run play, hands down buck sweep, your best run play. You got a great concept to the field with the pass. That's good stuff. Like for us, that's something, we got counter back to the tight end and we got whatever pass concept to the side. That's really difficult for defenses to contend with there. And like I said, Coach, I appreciate your time very much, and I learned a ton there.
No, man, I appreciate you for having me on today. I think the best thing we can do as coaches, right, is think about the development of our kids, what we have available to us within our wheelhouse, what's in the cabinets, and what can they do. And like I said, I think if they're young and they learn those reads, depending on, I think a lot of what us as coaches, we get profound at looking to see what we see on Saturdays. And, oh my gosh, Lane Kiffin did this, and Sarkisian did that, and did you see what Sean McVay did? And it's all great stuff. And in reality, we got to be able to translate and verbalize that to our kids and get them to understand it. And that's where I say, especially from the quarterback position, I start with stick right out the gate, because if our quarterback can't make that read, then hey, this is what we're doing, right? You saw the good and bad with Michael. Ball should have been out early. We missed on a corner throw, right? Poor technique, right? You see, so those are the things that when we start with that precursor in our development of our young kids, right? Your freshman quarterback, your JV kid, your building block beyond stick is what comes next. When you start talking out curl, well, curls are 12 yards, outs are at 5, stick arrows at 6, 7, and 3, right? Your meshes are usually 5 and 6. Shallow dig is 110, 112. Slice comebacks at 12, 14, right? And then like you guys, I know you're notorious for those deep cross. That's 20, 25 yards downfield. And if they can't read that defender sidestepping in or feathering out at 5 and 6 yards, then there's no way that kid's going to be able to take those vertical crossing shots 25 yards downfield if he can't make that throw. So that is the staple of our pass game. When we start install, like this spring, when we start install, day one, stick's the first concept that goes in.
Foundational principle, kind of talking about building it up through the program from the freshman level on up. That's a really cool way to look at it. And I love hearing skill position guys talk, because their thinking is definitely different than mine. And I'm always looking at stuff going on. How are we going to run the ball on this? What are we going to run the ball? Is that guy in a 7 technique? Is our tight end good enough to block him down? Can we arc? Can we get whatever in the run game? And I love hearing skill guys talk, because they're talking about, and you did such a good job this year. You guys were so just dominant in the run game, but had a lot of pass game stuff in there. And as much as it pains me to say it, the Bears will be in good shape moving forward offensively, and always have been very tough on defense as well. So, Coach, again, thank you so much for joining us. We will definitely have to get you on again some point, but I appreciate your time, and we will see you all next time for another edition of the Blue and Gold Gridiron Show. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me, brother. I appreciate you.